In this video, you will learn how to identify if ratios form a proportion in word problems. What are ratios and proportions? Have you ever cooked rice before? Most recipes say to use 2 parts water to 1 part rice. This is a ratio comparing the amount of water to the amount of rice. We can also write ratios as fractions, 2/1 in this scenario. If we decide to add more rice, we would also need to increase the water by a proportional amount. A proportion is a statement that 2 ratios are equivalent to each other. If I measure 4 parts water to 2 parts rice, is this equivalent to 2 parts water to 1 part rice? Well, if I cut my measurements in half, then 4 parts water divided by 2 is 2 parts water, and 2 parts rice divided by 2 is 1 part rice. Since the ratios are equivalent in their simplest form, then they form a proportion. Do these ratios form a proportion? $15 for 10 customers, $22 for 14 customers. First, we'll create 2 ratios from the given information. $15 for 10 customers is 15/10. $22 for 14 customers is 22/14. Next, we can check to see if the ratios are equal to each other by writing them in their simplest forms and comparing. The greatest common factor of 15 and 10 is 5, so divide the numerator and denominator by 5. 15 divided by 5 is 3, and 10 divided by 5 is 2. The simplest form of 15/10 is 3/2. The greatest common factor of 22 and 14 is 2, so divide the numerator and denominator by 2. 22 divided by 2 is 11, and 14 divided by 2 is 7. The simplest form of 22/14 is 11/7. Since the 2 fractions are not equal in their simplest form, the 2 ratios do not form a proportion. Do these ratios form a proportion? 20 roses to 24 tulips, 40 roses to 48 tulips. Again, we'll create 2 ratios from the given information, simplify the fractions, and then check to see if they are equal to each other. 20/24 and 40/48. Now let's write them in their simplest forms and compare. The greatest common factor of 20 and 24 is 4. 20 divided by 4 is 5, and 24 divided by 4 is 6. The simplest form of 20/24 is 5/6. The greatest common factor of 40 and 48 is 8. 40 divided by 8 is 5, and 48 divided by 8 is 6. The simplest form of 40/48 is 5/6. Since the 2 fractions are equal in their simplest forms, the 2 ratios form a proportion. You can also multiply both sides of the equation by both denominators, b times d, to eliminate the denominators and see if the products are equal. The b's cancel each other out on the left side, and the d's cancel each other out on the right side. We're left with a times d equals b times c. If the ratios form a proportion, then the final equation AD equals BC will be true. If the ratios do not form a proportion, then the equation will be false. Let's try this in our final example. Do these ratios form a proportion? 25 visitors every 90 seconds, 12 visitors every 40 seconds. Our proportion is 25/90 is equal to 12/40. Now we can rewrite this equation to check if it's true. To eliminate both 90 and 40 from the denominators, let's multiply both sides of the equation by 90 times 40. The 90s cancel each other out on the left side, and the 40s cancel each other out on the right side. We're left with 25 times 40 equals 90 times 12. You may have heard these referred to as the cross products. 25 times 40 is 1,000, and 90 times 12 is 1,080. Since the 2 sides of the equation are not equal, these ratios do not form a proportion. I hope this helps clear it up. Thanks for watching.